Think about the simple fact that J.J. McCarthy just started his first ever NFL game and did that to us at our home stadium.
The Chicago Bears have taken the North. If I'm not mistaken, this is the very first time the Chicago Bears have outright taken the North since Ryan Poles was hired in 2022 and said, we're going to take the North and never give it back. So here in late 2025, for the Chicago Bears to have finally, at least, spend 1 week atop the North, I could not be more ecstatic. Now, how did we get to this point? The Chicago Bears are 5-1 in one-score games in the 2025 season, and yet again we find ourselves saying it should have been more, it should have been better, it should have been less heart-pounding there at the end, but regardless, a win is a win, and you never apologize for a win in the NFL. This game specifically spoke to the growth of this football team because it was the same exact opponent and we got put in the same exact situation as the last time we played them, week 1. We were up big, I believe double digits in the fourth quarter, and then we allowed them to come crawling back due to our defensive ineptitudes and our offense stagnating. But this time, we closed the deal and we actually surmounted, is that the right word? We came back after letting up a comeback, and we ultimately won the game. I believe in week 1, you were still seeing remnants of the Matt Eberflus Bears when they just totally choked away the game, and it was absolutely devastating. But now we are fully immersed in the Ben Johnson Bears, where we know how to close games. We have the resilience, and the Bears don't back down. And a lot of Bears fans and Bears radio, Bears media, we sound like broken records, but we do want to see the Bears kind of run away with games instead of allowing the opponent to stay in till the very, very end. The way the Minnesota Vikings and J.J. McCarthy played, we should have won by a lot more, and we should have had a much better victory. Him was hot ass this week. And that's the main reason why we should have beat the Vikings by a lot more. Now, when you look at the box score of this game, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy actually had the same passes attempt to passes completed ratio. Yeah, they were both 16 out of 32, but if you actually watch the game, Caleb Williams played a lot better, and he was a lot less turnover prone, as he has been through literally his entire professional career. I heard the stat from Football Analysis, who's a Vikings fan. J.J. McCarthy at some point in the game, maybe halfway through, whatever it was, had a 30% off-target percentage, which means his throws were not even in the vicinity of catchable, which is outrageously higher than the even above average metrics which quarterbacks hit sometimes at about 15 to 20. So for a quarterback to be 30% off target against the Bears, and for us, yes, we got 2 interceptions off of it, but we really should have ran away with the entire game just based off how absolutely terrible J.J. McCarthy was. Again, this week, the Bears defense has done what it has always done. We were not very good against the run. Aaron Jones went 16 carries for 70 yards, averaging 4 a pop, and Jordan Mason carried it 6 times for 45 yards, 7.5 a pop, and a touchdown. This is a Bears defense that, unless they take away the ball via an interception or a fumble, they're probably going to let up a lot of yards per attempt, and either a field goal or a touchdown, and that's just how it goes. And until we get Jalen Johnson and TJ Edwards and Kyler Gordon back, I think that's who it is. That's kind of what the defense is just going to look like, even if our opponent is having a really, really hard time passing the ball. Now let's talk about the Bears offense. I thought that although Caleb Williams only completed 50% of his passes and didn't even hit 200 yards passing, no passing touchdowns, I thought he had a pretty solid game. He was hitting receivers in the middle of the field, he was taking checkdowns, and if it were not for a couple of drops, his stats would look much better. Sometimes you don't need to have like numbers that jump off the page in order to have a good game. Sometimes you just got to manage, take care of the ball, and make sure the running backs are in a good position to get their yards. And they certainly were. DeAndre Swift, 21 carries for 90 yards, averaging 4 per carry. And Caleb Williams himself took it for 4 carries and got 26 yards on the ground. That's about it for the Bears rushers. Kyle Monangai did not have a great game. He averaged less than 2 yards per carry. But he did score a touchdown though, so. Ball distribution was amazing yesterday against the Vikings. And I felt like we were not seeing a lot out of our tight ends. Cole Kmet was having a couple of stinky games in the past 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it was. But yesterday, Cole Kmet, 5 catches, 45 yards, 9 yards per catch. Really, really good stuff from Cole Kmet. We also saw Colson Loveland had 40 yards. Overall, 7 players caught a pass. And the Bears up until this Sunday were really good in the first and the fourth quarter and not so much in the second and third. But yesterday, it was kind of the inverse. They were pretty nice in the second and third quarter. But to start the game and to finish the game, they were not very good. All right, man. Let's talk about the boogeyman, Cairo Santos. I've said it once, and I've said it again. But yesterday, I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. Cairo Santos hit a game-winning field goal that was pretty far out, and listen, he's the only reason we were in that situation in the first place, but you got to give him credit where it's due. And I do think he deserved the game ball for Ben Johnson, going 4 for 5 on the day, kicking a 54-yarder, which was a season high, and ultimately kicking the game winner, even though it barely went through the uprights. It scraped the bottom corner almost. But you know what? A win is a win, like I said. I was watching the game with my buddy Josh, and when Cairo Santos lined up for that 45-yarder, his fourth attempt of the game, I was like, I have a bad feeling about this. It's going to be some Cairo Santos bullshit. And I was unfortunately right. As little as I wanted to be right about that, it's exactly what happened. So we need to see a little bit more consistency out of Cairo Santos, but as you can see, he was not bad, all things considered, throughout the day. He kicked the ball 5 times, made it 4 times, won us the game. Special teams as a whole, right? The Chicago Bears let up a pretty big kick return, I believe it was in the third or the fourth quarter, that continued to give the Vikings the momentum that they used to take the lead. Additionally, Cairo Santos missed that 45-yarder. It looked like the special teams was about to lose this game for us, but Devin Duvernay and Cairo Santos pretty much reversed the momentum on their own, and the Chicago Bears ended up winning the game. And I was starting to have my whole crash out about Richard Hightower and Cairo Santos and why did we even keep him in the first place. But at the end of the day, they did more than they needed to win the game. And although Caleb Williams got credited with his 5th game-winning drive of the season, 4th or 5th of the season, he actually didn't have to do anything because Devin Duvernay made such a powerful kick return and Cairo Santos was able to make such a long kick at the very end. So all Caleb did was hand off the ball 3 times, but he does technically get credited with a game-winning drive, which I think is funny. 7-3 atop the North. The Chicago Bears have been very streaky. They've been kind of close game merchants, but the upcoming schedule does not play around that way, okay? The upcoming schedule is going to demand us to be on our P's and Q's, on our details for 60 minutes. And can the Chicago Bears do it? I don't know. Next week, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I don't care if Aaron Rodgers sawed his left arm off, bro. I don't care how many ligaments in that left arm, right arm, whatever it may be. I don't care if they're broken. I don't care what sort of injuries he's got going on. Aaron Rodgers is going to do probably his best work against the Chicago Bears for absolutely no reason. And until I see otherwise, that is just what I'm going to believe. We have the Steelers, and then we have the Eagles on a short week, which is not good. The Eagles' defense has looked absolutely terrifying the past couple weeks against the Packers and the Lions. They just held Detroit to 6 points. A team that is still averaging over 30 points per game up until last night. With the addition of Jalen Phillips, they look even more dominant than they have in the past couple years. Like, they might destroy our offense the way they've been playing lately. So I'm not going to get my hopes up too high for the Eagles game. But then we have the Packers, the Browns, the Packers again. If we could just win like one game against Packers, I'd be very, very happy. Then we close that out with San Francisco and Detroit. It's going to be very, very hard. Even though we are at 7-3, it's going to be very hard to hit that 10-win mark that should get us into the playoffs. I think we can do it, and I do think we will do it, but it's going to require the Chicago Bears to play a lot better and a lot more consistent than they have the past 7 weeks or so. Because we've been squeaking out games against opponents that have not played well. So now we have to go and beat teams that actually look formidable and actually look like playoff contenders. The only team left out of the next 7 weeks that has not looked good at all is the Browns. So I think we can at least chalk off like one guaranteed win on our schedule for the next 7 weeks. But that's about it. That's the only guaranteed win I see for the Bears in the next 7 weeks. So the rest of the season is going to look a lot different than the first 10 weeks. The Bears have taken the North. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Peace.